everyone. Welcome back to the Glow Up Girl podcast. I am Keera Mitchell-Lewis, and I am very excited to have my guest who I already love because her name is similar to my sister's name. So I know that she's an amazing person for one. But Keera Albergaria is joining me today. She is a life coach and author of the Reflection Planner, Reflection, Self-Care, and Growth for Moms. So welcome, Keera, to the Glow Up Girl podcast.
Hi, thank you so much for having me on here. I really appreciate this.
Of course. Well, let's go ahead and dive in. Let's start by getting to know you.
So my name's Keera Albergaria. I am from the very small state of Rhode Island, and I live here with my husband, 2 boys. We have 2 male dogs, so I'm literally the only female in the house. And I am a personal trainer. I'm also a life coach. I work a lot with moms. I host workshops to help moms gain strength, both mentally and physically together. And I recently released a book as a tool to help. It's a workbook for moms to help them day to day in their growth. So we focus on 3 areas: reflection of the day, self-care, and growth.
Let's talk about your journey. So I know when you, after the birth of your second son, you were diagnosed with postpartum depression. And so what did you do to get the help you needed? And how did it lead to you starting this community for moms?
So for me, my journey was a little bit different than a lot of people who come out saying that they have postpartum depression. So I knew something was a little bit different as soon as I brought my son home from the hospital, actually. And it was a couple weeks that I was going on, and the exhaustion was hitting me, and the crying, and I just felt like this emptiness, but it didn't look like the way that it was portrayed maybe in the news or on TV shows, where you would see the woman almost hating their child or themselves. And it didn't look like that. So it was almost questionable for me. What is going on? It can't be postpartum depression. This is what it's supposed to be, and it's not like that. So I went into the doctors, and we have that dreaded checkup where they talk about all this, and you fill out a questionnaire on how are you feeling? How are you feeling physically, mentally? And really is to dive in and see if postpartum depression is something that we might have. So it's actually really common for mothers, and people don't really know how common it is, but it's 1 in 7 moms who give birth have postpartum depression. So for me, hearing that the doctor, when I sat in that room, the doctor went over my questionnaire and just started talking to me, and she came out with these words, and she was very blunt about it. For me, it worked, but she said, "You have severe postpartum depression." And as soon as she said that, for me, myself, it was almost like relief. And I let out like a big cry, and it was thank you. Thank you for putting the pieces together. Right. And I needed this. At that point, it's kind of when we went through options of what happens next. And for me personally, she went through medication and everything else. And I just sat in there and I said, this isn't right for me. This is not what I want to do. And, that's for some people, which that's why it's on the earth, medication. But for me, I wanted to do something different. And that's when, leaving that doctor's office, I went home, I sat on my couch, and I said out loud, and I remember saying it to my husband, I said, no, I'm going to turn this pain into a purpose. And that's what I need to do. And that's when I became a life coach, actually.
Awesome. No, I think that's amazing, because I think that it's easier for people to gravitate to someone who's experienced what they may be going through, and someone who has, beat something that they are currently experiencing, because it's authentic, because you're not just the person out there saying, let me tell you the steps to do this. You've actually lived it.
Yes.
So, what do you see most from women that are coming to you and that you're coaching today? What are some of the struggles that you're helping women with today?
I see both mothers and some who, want to be a mom one day. And a lot of times women will approach me and say, I'm not a mom. Is it okay if I attend one of your workshops, or is it okay if I sit in on a session with you? And I always say this one thing. I always tell them that you don't want to wait until you're thirsty to build a well. So if you want to become a mom one day, or if you are looking for taking the next step, whatever that might look like to you, let's get you prepared now and let's work through those things. So most common, I would have to say, with moms is, believe it or not, questionable postpartum depression. A lot of times, and it looks like even with toddler age, I'll have moms come up to me who have toddlers and they're like, I'm still crying and not sleeping and something's wrong. And I'll explain to them, this is, unfortunately, people don't understand that postpartum depression is something that can last for years. And if it's not diagnosed, you go on this, it's almost like the streak of confusion. So that's something that I see a lot, is the postpartum depression. But also, I speak with a lot of women about becoming entrepreneurs. Believe it or not, that's like one of the biggest things that just women will come to me. They want to take the next step. They might be moms, they might not be moms, but they're saying, okay, there's something missing and I need more and I want to go forward with that. So it's sitting down and coaching them through, okay, so what does that look like for you? And we go through a lot of steps, and it's really to get to the place where they want to be. But a lot of women have started their own little businesses or started their own, even like I have some women that start their own Etsy accounts or their own inside the homes, like interior designs, but whatever it is, that's a huge thing that actually women come to me for, is the fear of stepping out into that entrepreneurship.
Yeah, I love that, because I do think that, and, I actually love that you mentioned even doing something as like small as a start of like starting your own, like an Etsy page. Because I think a lot of times people think if I'm starting a business, it has to be like this big, like splash, and I have to be doing all these things. But I love that, you're coaching someone from just like you're getting someone over the hump of saying, okay, take the first step, right? Just do it. And I think, and it's so interesting because I do think we talk ourselves out of, doing as women. Because I don't think that it's something men struggle with. I think women, we have a really great idea and we get really excited to do it. But then we start letting self-doubt talk to us in the back of our head. And we're like, well, maybe I shouldn't do it now.
Absolutely, we do.
And it's so important to have just a community and coaches, because you have a community of friends that are saying to go ahead, girl, start that business, do that thing. But when you have someone, a coach is accountable. You're accountable to that coach and your steps and the steps you're taking to actually bring your vision to life. So that's for anybody out there that's thinking about getting a coach, get a coach.
Yes, I agree. I have one myself. Who pushed me through this. I really do believe, like, I am I do a lot of life coaching, I do personal training, but I myself need somebody to hold me accountable and to help me through what my next step is. So it's so important to help put those little puzzle pieces together. Yes.
I mean, and definitely, for sure. And I love that you also said that you have a coach, because I think a lot of times people think that the people that are motivating them, well, they're just always motivated. Like, she must wake up like motivated.
No, it's true though. It's a thought. It really is. And even I even see that with my personal training. People will say like, oh, well, you don't struggle the way I do. Like, you can put yourself through workouts. And I'm no, I do. And I actually have my own trainer because I need that. So everybody needs that little bit of a help. And it's about joining hands and leaning on each other and making that okay, to build that community and to lean on each other through everything.
Yes, I so agree. Now, what have moms been experiencing as far as, obviously, before we got on, we were talking about even just trying to find a balance, because we know that there's no perfect balance. There's a balance that works for each of us, right? And you're homeschooling, and how have you had a lot of moms that have come to you, and what advice would you give to moms out there that are mom, wife, partner, a teacher, entertainer? What advice would you give?
So, I mean, it's true. Us as moms, women, we wear so many hats. And my biggest advice, and this is something that's actually in my book, and it's something that I help as a tool, giving yourself grace and self-forgiveness. That is my biggest piece of advice. So example, even through these times of, the lockdowns and coronavirus and everything else, right now we chose to distance learn because we don't know what's going to be happening in the school system. So I'm doing the distance learning. I have a toddler who was diagnosed with special needs. So he's at home. My husband is, he's kind of working from home, but out sometimes. It's all over the place. And it's chaos. It truly is. But it's about sitting down and giving yourself grace that maybe you didn't get that thing done on the to-do list. Maybe you weren't able to sit down with your child and do that puzzle, which you know that they need that mind activity. It's okay. Right. It's okay. So it's about that self-forgiveness. And the way I work that into my book is there are prompts for every single night that you reflect on your day. And then you write out kind of a plan on what is going to happen tomorrow. But again, so the next day when you go into that, did that happen exactly how you planned it? And if it didn't, it's okay. What happened instead? And so it's about the self-forgiveness and giving yourself grace that it's not going to all work out. And we need to be okay with that. And we also need to learn to, like I said before, lean on each other and be able to reach out to the other mom and say, hey, or woman, and just say, hey, I'm really struggling. And I know you offered to bring me dinner before. Could you maybe do that? Because I actually do need that. So learning that's okay to do. We need to make that more common. So that's probably my biggest piece of advice is the grace, self-forgiveness, and leaning.
You know what? When you said that, I was like, girl, you better preach because because I think even just in my own personal experience, that giving ourselves grace. Now we give other people grace, we preaching about grace and we gotta give people grace, but we don't do it for ourselves. And I know that I, up until probably a month ago, was will always be very hard on myself, because I do have a everyday job, and then I have Glow Up Girl. So I'm like, okay, but I didn't get this done tonight. If there's a night where I'm like, oh man, I'm really tired, but I really need to I got podcast proposals to put together. And, I would find myself just being really upset with me and just being really hard on myself going how do you think this is it's not gonna work if you're not getting stuff done. And I'm like, oh my God, I literally have been up since, 6 o'clock. I've worked a whole day on a regular job. And then now, I'm transitioning here. But it came with me starting to be able to lean on, like you said, lean on someone else. And in this case, it was someone saying to me, why don't you get an assistant? Why don't you get somebody to do a few hours, during the week to help you with some of this stuff? And then also getting an editor for my podcast and not me doing self-editing, everything. And I was like, God, thank you for sending other people to tell me finally, and it's sinking in. One of the things I've been saying to people this year, I'm like, it's about making an investment in yourself. I've chosen, yes, it costs money, but I've decided to make this investment in me so that I have more time after hours to hang out with my puppy and watch movies with my husband and have, because I too am working at home. So it's all just, it's all just running together. It's all one place. There's a job, and then there's B job. And then there's this office that's also it's still just my regular office. So it's finding that balance and giving yourself, like you said, giving yourself the grace to be able to make decisions that help you find better balance.
Yes, absolutely. That's what it's about.
Yes. Yes, I love that. Now, so let's go ahead and move into your book, because I love anything that's guided with prompts. And you had me at workbook and guided and writing at night. If you want to just go ahead and sort of talk about those three areas that you focus on in your in the workbook.
Yeah. So as moms, obviously, we're so busy. As women, we're so busy, but especially with moms that we have others to take care of. When we wake up in the morning, we are not able to sit down and write in a journal and put out this whole list let's be honest. I know there's a lot of journals out there that say like, what are you grateful for today? It's just starting the day off that way.
Right.
But a lot of times those get pushed to the side because you have all this chaos around you. So this journal it's a journal, planner, workbook, all wrapped in one. And it's actually meant to be done in the evening. That's why I have us doing reflection. So it's all about reflecting. The first question that it actually asks you, and this is right before you go to bed, so you're really thinking about it. The first question is, what are you celebrating today? So instead of focusing on how things might have gone wrong, how things didn't go their way, it's what are you celebrating today? So you actually get to write that down. So that's in the reflection portion. And I also talk about what do you need to forgive yourself for today?
I like
so it's all about the wording. Instead of saying what went wrong today, like your child threw all these tampons, what can you forgive yourself for today? And it's maybe I forgive myself that I maybe lost a little bit of my patience when my child didn't get his work done. So you let it go right there. And then there's another portion of it that you write in there about self-care. So moms, we really put ourselves aside. We really do. So I have a 15-minute rule where you have to do a minimum of 15 minutes of you time a day. And whatever that looks like, whether that is like for me, it was yesterday locking myself in the bathroom without kids and doing a little face mask. And it felt amazing. And that was my 15 minutes. And what I'm seeing from a lot of moms is that 15 minutes at the beginning, they say, I don't know if I can do 15 minutes. And then it ends up growing into, oh goodness, I am now doing an hour every day and I will not do anything less. So it's amazing how much it grows. And then the last part is growth, because again, we as moms tend to put ourselves last and we do have goals. So it's asking, what did you do to take one step towards your goal in the day? And you reflect on that. So that's a daily prompt. And then at the end of the week, I'll have a story that I wrote of my journey of motherhood or just an encouraging story. And at the end of that, it prompts you to go back. It has a weekly challenge. And each week is to go back in the week before. And you are to pray, meditate, and read everything that you wrote. So it's not just writing everything and letting it go. It's writing and really reflecting on how did your week go and how are we now going to start it in the following week. So it's not just writing and done. It's you keep it. And then it's also meant so you don't have to start it on January 1st. You can start it any day. And you can, every year get one. And I like one person who it was out of Hawaii. I was talking to them and they said, you know what we're going to do is we're going to buy one. And every year we're going to keep it in our little bookcase and we can reflect on it and be like, oh, remember this year, 2020, let's see how that went again and read about it and see where the growth went. So it's really meant to reflect and grow.
Yeah, I mean, I bet there are definitely some interesting journals issues or God, I'm looking for the word. Journal entries this year for sure, right? And I think that's really great. I do love that you close with the opportunity, to reflect, to get started for a new week, because a lot of people do journal and they actually just journal and then it's one and done. It's like, oh, this thing happened this day and I forgot about it. And then they just sort of move on. But I like that sort of setting yourself up for success the next day. Yeah, a lot of times I do something where I'm like, okay, how am I going to approach tomorrow? I'm like, I choose joy. So I already set myself up and I pray about it. And the next day, then I keep talking to God throughout the day and saying, please hold me accountable, Lord, to the fact that I said that I was choosing joy today, even though these people are driving me crazy.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think that's great. And that's a great tool. And I do love the idea of purchasing one. And I think even just women in general should purchase this. It shouldn't just be, moms, but all women should purchase this tool because it sounds really amazing to be able to hold yourself accountable in a way. Not only, did I accomplish these things, but did I show myself grace?
Yes.
Did I forgive myself just like I would forgive someone else and give that grace, the same grace that I extended to them that I extend to myself? So talk about your faith and how important faith is in your journey?
Faith is my rock. It really is. It's funny because when I was beginning writing this book or this journal, I didn't incorporate my faith into it. And I was speaking with my business coach and I said, I'm writing it. There's something off. And she pointed it out to me and said, are you battling with putting your faith in it or not? And I said to her, I can't believe you said that, because I truly am. And it's funny because I actually was thinking, if I put that, I don't want to offend anybody out there who might not think the same way that I do. And really what it came down to was I would be doing an injustice if I didn't do that, a disservice, So if I didn't incorporate that into my book or into a lot of things I do, my coaching and everything else, if you see my social media, it's faith-based. And if I wasn't doing that, I would be attracting the wrong people to me, and they would be, they wouldn't be receiving exactly what they need to receive. Right. So that's why I made the decision. And faith got me through my hardest times. It got me through the postpartum depression. I did see a Christian counselor. So that helped me. I decided not to do the medication. I saw a Christian counselor and I went through classes to become a life coach. And that was what helped me. But along with that, in my church, we have small groups, and I do a mom small group I'm a part of. And I'm so excited that there have been a few churches that have actually purchased my workbook, and they are now doing small groups, and they're utilizing that as a workbook. And they get together once a week and they are sharing what they're reflecting on of how their week went and what they wrote in their journal. So now it's turned into not just a personal journal, but something that's being used in different churches throughout the country. So I'm very excited about that.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, I'm so excited.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And, and kudos to you because, it is important. I mean, if you are a believer, and obviously you're not, trying to push your beliefs on other people. But I think it's important, for you, it's who you are, and I often in the podcast or whatever, like I'm going to talk about my blessings and we'll talk about God, but it's just because it's important to me and it's my journey, you never know who needs to hear, it could be someone who is contemplating or, maybe wondering like, oh, and they hear you speak about, what God has done for you and how he's blessed your life, and maybe it turns them to be open to it too. So very, very glad that you decided to go ahead and move forward and look at it's on the other end. You're a blessing to a lot of people, and also a blessing in churches, in Bible studies.
Yes, so I know it's really taken an amazing turn. And it's funny because I was so nervous about making it faith-based and putting Bible verses in there and telling my story of my journey. And it's kind of crazy the turn it took, because most people that have bought this book personally from me and asked for autograph copies, they're not believers, but they don't care. They've been saying, no, I still want it. So I'm like, okay, this is what I was supposed to do.
even better.
Yes, I know.
So I know, as we talked about, it's not often easy for people to take that first step, right, towards a positive change for themselves. And I would definitely say in 2020, I've heard and from a lot of people who are like, oh yeah, I should do this, or I was going to get, maybe I was going to get a coach, I was going to go to therapy. And a lot of people are, maybe like, they get close and then they hesitate and then they, I think, probably talk themselves out of it. What would you say to someone who may be out there on the fence, a woman that wants to take that first step to either a coach, a therapist, or a new business or whatever?
My advice is actually, it can be intimidating. It can, especially when you're going one-on-one with somebody. My advice, and I've given this to a lot of people, is start with a community. So there's so many resources out there where, social media is huge. So even just on Facebook, finding that community of a little mom community or women or whatever you need to join hands with, find that community, join it. You don't need to speak up in there. You can sit back, and when you feel comfortable, you'll be able to speak, maybe ask a few questions, and then go from there, maybe going from that big community to your small little group. You could find a little core group in there.
Yeah.
And then going on to that one-on-one, it's helped with me in my past, even with many different adventures, I guess you could call it, that I went on. It started with, okay, I do want to speak with somebody. I do want to maybe start this new career, but I'm going to join in my state, we have something called Roadie Moms, and that's on Facebook. And then I have my own, it's called a Mom's Reflection. So that's just a community that moms can join, and it's all private and everything's kept confidential. But also anybody who is feeling like they can't sit with somebody and speak, I am more than welcome to communicate with you through social media. If you need to hop on a Zoom and just talk about that and talk about what your fears are, putting those out into the universe and actually speaking about it sometimes actually helps heal you. So if you're holding those in, if you're holding those fears in, it's not going to do anything but eat up yourself. And you need to release that. So just speaking about it. So even feel free to reach out to me, find me, social media, email me, everything, and let's talk.
Awesome. Thank you. That's that's great advice. And I do appreciate that you said that it is intimidating, because it is. Anytime you're going to do something that's outside of your comfort zone, but I'm definitely a firm believer that it's out when you take the first step to do something that is uncomfortable. It's the beginning of something pretty amazing. So you just have to do it.
Yeah.
So I like to do this with some of my guests. So it's 5 things, and I ask you 5 questions. I just like to know, especially people, that are entrepreneurial, sort of like to see how you start the day, how you deal with certain things. So we'll just go question 1.
Okay.
How do you start the day?
Oh, I start the day before I get out of my bed. I actually listen to one worship song. So I wake up, I put it on my phone, and then I start the day and I get out of bed. So that's how I start my day.
Awesome. Okay. What book or books are you currently reading? Because I know I read a lot of books at once. So.
Well, since I just finished my book, I kind of put everything on pause. But I actually am really excited because I just ordered a new book, and it's, oh my gosh, I can't remember but I just did finish Uninvited. Do you know Uninvited?
Mm-mm.
It's by Licia, and I can't remember her last name, but I really recommend you reading it. It's called Uninvited.
Uninvited.
Look it up. Yeah.
Okay. Definitely will check that out.
It helps your soul. It really does.
Oh, I definitely love anything that helps my soul.
Yeah.
How do you push through a challenging day?
Today was a challenging day. So that's a good one. Again, my faith comes into place with this, and I need a moment for myself, and I have my own little place downstairs in my basement. This is my little space. And I come down here and I will look something up on my phone, usually that gives me a little bit of motivation. It's something I'm praying about. Or again, I listen to whatever song is on my heart, and I just go in here, take 5 minutes, and I need that refresher. So it's like a refresher for me. That's how I do it.
It's so funny that you said that, because today, so at lunch, I always take a walk with my dog, and we take a quick walk around the neighborhood, and I come back and I take a shower, whatever, for the rest of the day. And it was so funny because it was like, I had more challenging days earlier in the week. Probably Monday was I was like, what is going on? Like, what's everybody on today? And then Tuesday was sort of, but not really. And then today it was so interesting. I was walking, and I was listening to music, and I got back in the house and the song came on. This Battle Is Not Yours by Yolanda Adams. And I said, oh my God, I was like, God, thank you for reminding me that it's not my battle. This is not my battle. You got me, and I literally was right there in the moment crying and just sort of thanking him for, this reminder, because I needed that, and I needed to remember that. And so because I know, sometimes it does get, sometimes we're human. So sometimes it does, you forget, you get wrapped up in the flesh of you. It's like, oh my God, I can't believe it. Da, da, da. And so, but I was just so thankful in that moment for that song that delivered to my soul and my spirit right then and there. So when you said that, it just sort of connected, because you seem to do the same thing.
I do.
What do you do to relax?
Relax. Okay, I have two kids now. So believe it or not, I'm not a big like TV person.
Uh-huh.
I know a lot of moms at the end of the night, they sit down, they watch TV and they do all that. I don't like to. My relaxing is I like to go in my room by myself. Nobody, no husband, no nothing. I like to read, and I use my own reflection planner journal. So I write in there. But I would also say that relaxing to me is, which is not going to sound relaxing, but I have a gym that I built inside my house and I go do a little workout, and that actually really does, it relaxes me for the night. It does.
No, I agree with you. I mean, I work out in the morning, but I have always, there have been some times where I've had to work out like at night before bed. And I'm like, oh, this is not bad. Like, it actually just sort of eases you out of the day, and and you forget about it because you're just so intent on having a good workout. So
yeah, I push yourself. But what I'll do end my night with every night? I end my night with a tea that's made of magnesium and melatonin and stuff. So it's every single night, and I love my hot tea, even in the hot summer. Like I drink that every night, and it just relaxes me.
I like that. See, you answered the last question. You told me how you end the day.
Oh, there you go. I do. I end my night every single night like that. I have my hot tea. It's lemon flavor. I'm obsessed with tea. Okay. So I am. I need my tea. Most moms, it's coffee, but me, I need my tea. So even in the summer, that's how I end my night every single night.
Right. Okay. I got you. So tell us what's next for you? What are you working on next?
I'm so excited. So what I'm working on next is because of COVID and everything, a lot of my workshops have been put on pause because they were in person. And now I'm going to switch to virtual. So I'm planning a bunch of virtual ones, but it's not going to be just me. The big plan is these are going to be branching out. So I'm not going to be just hosting all these workshops. I have women from other parts of the country, as well as London and a couple other countries, who have asked to host them on their own. So I'm giving them the tools so we can all branch out and have little small groups and meetings and workshops all over where we'll be able to help moms both mentally and physically together. And God recently put on my heart to start a home for moms, for women.
Oh, I love it.
So I'm in the process of getting all that straightened out, the fundraising grants and everything else. Have a home where moms will be able to stay when they're in the middle of a transition time, is what I like to call it. So not something that's like a shelter, but an actual home, and they'll be able to stay there. So that's going to be my next baby.
Oh, that's awesome. That's so fantastic. Well, let everybody know. Please tell them how to find you online and also where they can purchase your book as well.
Yeah. So my Instagram name is strong_mama_Keera. And my Facebook, you can find me on Keera, Albergaria, my name. I also have a community group called A Mom's Reflection. So you just need to ask to be added to that. Again, it is private for the moms. And my website is amomsreflection.com. Awesome. And you can email me at amomsreflection@gmail.com. My book is available on my website. It's also available on Amazon.com and Barnes & Noble's online and Westbow Press Publishing online.
Fantastic. Well, that's awesome. And you have, this is amazing. Everything that you're doing to help moms and help women, and especially moms, more importantly, because I mean, obviously we're all women, but I think moms, they carry a lot. I mean, as a person that does not have kids and I'm busy, and I don't see how people are I don't see how moms are getting things done. So I just definitely applaud a mama who is doing her thing. And especially I just love it when moms are able to take the time for themselves to constantly try and foster growth for them. Because as my therapist always says, people can't get the best of you unless, you are able, your cup needs to be filled in order to give to other people and give them your best. So I think what you're doing is amazing. And I wish you all the success in the world. And I hope you'll come back and talk to me again when this next phase kicks off, and keep in touch with us. So thank you, Keera.
I will. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Well, stay tuned, guys. I'll be right back.